Hi, it's Yujin Lee, and you're listening to Money Crashers Podcast. I'm here to make your financial life better by helping you make wiser choices about managing, saving, investing, and spending money. Today, I have with me Kendel Niedermeyer, CEO of F-Words, and by CEO, she means Chief Everything Officer. This is a small taste, the moose bouche, shall we say, of who Kendel is. Kendel and I met roughly in 2008 when I started working for Reem Akra, an evening wear and bridal gown designer who dressed royals, celebrities, a couple of high-powered women in tech, and rich-ass women. Kendel wasn't just a design assistant there. She was Reem's right hand. Kendel, can you tell me about your experience there? Walk me down memory lane.
Well, first of all, I have to ask, are you wearing Remember today?
I am. I dug it out of my closet just for you, and I must say it's a little tight. After 3 kids, it doesn't fit the same.
I would never know. You look beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Reem, for me, was my absolute idol. I knew I had to work with her. When I was in college, she had done this ad, and it was with Japanese gold leaf, and I was obsessed. Working with her was a real treat because she prides herself on confidentiality, and she took me under her wing and really helped grow myself personally and professionally. And it was really quite an honor, especially given that she gives that to you.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. And I feel like from what I remember working at Reem, she was so savvy. She had business skills. She was sharp, observant, and she was fun. I remember she took dance lessons. I remember she loved dancing around.
That's right. She wanted to be right? With the stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was great. Yeah. So after that,
yeah,
she's very decisive. That is true, and I respect that about people, especially in someone that you have to report to, respond to, because you know exactly what they want. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It made the design process, it was, of all the designers I worked for, she really understood a female's body, but she also, because she was so decisive, knew what she wanted out of the design. And so it really streamlined the process much more so than in other organizations I'd worked for down the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I've learned, I guess because she was one of the first designers I've worked for out of college, I've learned so much working there. I've learned how to work really hard. I remember being in the showroom until like 1 a.m. during market season. For the listeners who don't know much about the fashion industry, market season is when the press and the buyers come in from different retailers and they view the collection so they could write about it or buy the pieces for the store. And so before market, the fashion show comes on, and that's when people like Kendel, they get the design process ready, they get everything ready, they might get the models all lined up, fitted to perfection. And the day of the fashion show, it's mayhem backstage. They're getting their glam done. They're doing last minute fittings. You're literally like sewing them up as they run down the aisle. Yes. And it's such a process, and I feel like if you're not from the industry, you don't understand the magnitude of how much work goes into it. You don't appreciate the intelligence of the people in the industry, because I feel like if you watch movies like Devil and Prada and stuff like that, you don't really get to see how experienced and sharp everyone is. Even people from the magazine industry. I remember I overheard a PR meeting with our PR team, and I think it was someone from Marie Claire, and they were just discussing about what fashion is, the art of it, and just the way the words they use, the way they describe it, it's beautiful, you know, and it's very poetic, and I miss that about fashion. So you went.
That not everyone understands understands the process of the world for which you and I both came from. Because for me, sometimes I'm so happy that you brought that up and went down that road a little bit, because I feel it's hard for me to imagine a different world, and so it's very well said.
Mm-hmm. So you went from one great boss, one amazing, intelligent woman, very has an extreme business acumen, to another boss. But this one, I don't know if she's as famous. She played a character on a small HBO show called Sex and the City. Sarah Jessica Parker, was it?
Yeah,
What was
that's right.
that? You know that lady with big hair? What was it like working for her? And which brand was this for?
Yeah, so she was creative director and president of Halston Heritage. And so they were also headquartered in New York City. And she was hired, and she hired me specifically to elevate the product and have a percentage of the development be brought back to the States and to be manufactured where we can control the process a little bit more locally in New York City.
That's right. Okay, I remember it. And what was it like working for her? Because Sarah Jessica Parker, unlike Reem, doesn't really come from a fashion background, although you may think differently from her hit show. But what was that like? Was she more into the art of it, or did she come in with like a different idea of what this brand should become?
Yeah, she definitely also is a decisive woman. She very much knew that she wanted to honor what the true Halston heritage and story means, but she wanted to bring it to a more approachable, price-friendly retail, but not lose any of the quality that Halston was originally known for in his namesake brand. And so, again, being very decisive about that, she had a very, and she's incredibly bright when it comes to colors. That's not something that every designer has, and she really understands color and drape and femininity. And so she was a very strong creative director.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I actually once, I just remembered I saw her in the middle of the street once. This is back then, so 2010-ish. I saw her walking down the street. She was a lot taller than I thought she was. I thought she was around my height, but she was a lot taller because you can't tell on TV. She was really, really tall, and she was like with a group of men. She was smiling and she was radiant. I know people were judgmental when she played Carrie Bradshaw about how she looked and how old she was. But when I saw her in person, I felt that was rude and disrespectful from the get-go. But then when I saw her in person, she had this lioness look about her, and she was so bright. Her blue eyes were so clear and so radiant. Like her eyes smiled. Do you know what I mean? And like she was like glowing in the middle of the sidewalk, and I was like, wow, this woman is beautiful. And you just saw her soul shine through. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I love that. That's so true. She is a beautiful person in and out. She is her character, very much to the core. Yeah.
So after working with Sarah Jessica Parker and Reem Akra, you're your own boss now. So have you taken any of their attributes and put it inside of you? And are you that kind of manager as well?
I try to lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I am my own owner and leader of my own organization, prior to founding F-Words, after Sarah Jessica at Halston, I was vice president at J. Mandel, a French-American brand, very similar to Reem Akra and the products that we were creating and the collections that we had. And having learned from all of these organizations, I'm a definitely different manager than I was at any of them. Yet I've learned from all of them in a way which has all come together. I think we get older, we're wiser. I really want people to feel, and this came from Sarah Jessica, I want people to feel heard on my team. I want them to know their value. I want them to know their worth. These things are so important to me, and I definitely could not have been the leader that I am today, and I'm still learning. If I didn't have these amazing experiences working with these incredible brands and these incredible women specifically.
Mm-hmm. And now, so your company, F Words. First of all, can you tell me what F Words stands for? And can you tell me how you started?
Yeah, so F Words stands for our ethos, which is fit, fashion, function, and flexibility. And I started on the premise that the American sportswear was changing. And so what could that mean in the future, and what part can I have on that? And so forward thinking, I was thinking, women are like myself. They want to enjoy their hobbies and their passions and their activities, and they want to be able to do it in a product which has values, that is ethically made, that is made in a way in which I used to make my gowns, that no other athletic apparel manufacturer is going to be able to do because they don't have the experience that I've had in the couture world. And so I started out in that thought that, no one is addressing the 40 to 65-year-old woman. I can create a new category of athletic apparel, couture performance apparel. It's not athleisure. It's not active apparel. We're much more elevated than that. And yet I want everybody to know who's listening and watching that all that said, we've worked very hard, especially the past year, to really refocus our retail prices so that we're not the couture pricing. We're giving the same value, we're giving the same performance that you would expect of couture and bespoke dressmaking, but we're doing it at a reasonable price which supports the domestic economy.
That's amazing. Does it make you cringe when people ask you if it's athleisure?
Oh my God!
I'm glad you brought up that word.
It makes me cringe, and it's always such a hard. Because we're here to educate as well. We're inclusive, and so we don't want anyone to. It's a new category, so people don't know, and so we're here to educate. But it's hard because I'm ready for everyone to know the difference. Yeah.
Yes. So, as someone who has their own company, what are your hours like? Take me through 24 hours of Kendel.
Oh gosh. So it's nothing short of crazy. I guess I would have been no other way. Organized chaos is the name of the game. I wake up very early. I wake up periodically through the night. I'm sure I'm not the only entrepreneur who has that same story. I write my notes down when I wake up because otherwise you think you're going to remember, you don't, or you'll stay up all night thinking about it, which is a waste of time. And so I am thinking in my sleep. The moment the sun comes up, I'm ready to go. I spend my mornings with my dog, who's like my breath of fresh air. That's my me time. And after that, I get right to it. I do a lot of my morning in front of the computer. I'm working on the coding of our website, the coding of our ads, the performance of our ads, the marketing strategy, and if anything has to be tweaked and when. I'll be working on any of the design for the new collection in the mornings. Our fabric, although we manufacture in New York City, our fabrics are from France for the most part. And so I have to make sure that I'm communicating with them early enough before they leave for the day.
Mm-hmm.
But my afternoons are always spent in the atelier. And that's most certainly my happy spot. I'm a garmento. It's very similar to as you started the conversation, just all hands on deck, always sewing, primping, priming the design, evolving constantly. You never sort of know what's going to get thrown at you. We're doing materializations in the machine. We're doing, testing. And that takes, for the most part, the whole afternoon. And then the evenings, this is very unglamorous. I'm doing a lot of shipping. So shipping and packing, we've added a wholesale component to our business model this year.
Oh, wow.
So I'm either shipping out our new stores orders or their reorders. A large part of our business is bespoke. Our clients are very special. They are the same type of luxury clients that were wearing Remacro and J. Mendel. We have very close personal relationships, and so they're texting me throughout the day. That's how they'll place their orders. Sometimes they'll come online and place an order and sort of off the rack. A lot of times they're ordering bespoke colors, and so I'm handling a lot of that in the evenings as well, because a lot of our clients are mothers still, and so maybe their kids have gone to bed. And I love to cook, so I always try to find time to cook something for dinner. And I can't believe I forgot this because I'm a big runner. So I run every day. And no matter where I'm traveling, if I'm in New York or if I'm traveling to a trunk show, it's so important to me to get that time in. And so normally I do that in the morning.
It's so funny. I used to run a lot too. And my favorite thing was wherever I traveled, regardless of how many kids were there with me, I would leave them behind with a husband in the hotel room. And I would just spend at least, I would say 30 minutes to an hour just running by myself and like looking, because when you have kids, you can't even look up. You have bags everywhere, children everywhere. Like you can't appreciate or see anything. So just being able to put my sneakers on, I don't even need headphones, and just like run and just look around and just admire where you are. I think it was my favorite thing. Yeah.
Mine too. I love that. I never knew that about you. I'm so glad that you shared that. Because I think that there's different runners too. So there's runners who just, and they get it in and it's about their personal best time. For me, I'm very similar to how you run. It's about experiencing nature in New York City or wherever I am traveling. And such appreciation always for the architecture.
Oh, yes.
The landscaping, the people that pass, the dogs they're with. There's just so much to look at. So I'm definitely a runner like you are, always looking around and taking in all of that. And it's the same. You only need 30 minutes out there. It's like the second I come back in, I'm like, I'm ready.
It's go time. No, I totally get it. And a fun fact. So after I left Reem Acra, I started at Ralph Lauren, and Ralph Lauren, as a big company, they do a lot of charity work. And one of the charity works that they were a part of that I jumped in right away was they were giving away spots for the New York City Marathon. So I started in September, and that year the marathon was, I got an email, all company email saying that year, November 7, 2010, that was 2010, they were going to sponsor runners for the New York City Marathon. You just have to pledge $3,000, right? So I pledged $3,000 and I did it. Because that November 7 of that year was my 25th birthday. And I was like, I want to celebrate my 25th birthday, celebrating the fact that I graduated the college I wanted to, into the job that I wanted to, and I just want to celebrate by running 26.2 miles.
That's insane. You did that. It's so inspiring.
It was worth it because I got a shirt with that date on it, November 7, 2010, and it says New York City Marathon. And I still have the medal somewhere, but I don't know.
So you'll have to walk me through, because someday, every time I'm out on my run, I'm always, can I do it?
I never ran over 13 miles before. I've done half marathons.
Yeah.
And so this is the first time I ran it. And my only advice is don't stop. Don't stop to drink water. Don't stop to pee. Once you stop, you lose that momentum and you just can't, it's too painful to go, like start again. So just keep going. Just keep going.
I believe that. I can see that as true. That's
Yeah. So going back to F words. And so you are the IT of your company. You learned how to code. And so you could basically fix anything on your website. You are shipping. You are the pattern maker. You are the seamstress. You are sales, taking in orders. How do you feel? Do you feel overwhelmed, or do you feel empowered and proud that you can write these paychecks to the people in your company? How do you feel?
Oh, thank you for asking. I feel both and all. I'm always overwhelmed. And my philosophy is one thing at a time, one step at a time. And that's always served me well. And gotten me through all of the challenges. And at the same time, I do feel so empowered. Those moments that I am feeling, and I think it wouldn't be truthful to say that there are moments that are challenging, where you question, when you're down about something. And then I have to always remember how amazing it is that I am able to supply jobs within the domestic economy and foster the artistic environment. I feel so grateful that I have this opportunity to be able to work with and hire the most skilled artisans there are arguably in the world, that are here in New York City, both in our art direction and our photography and our light and color and retouching, everything to make the website feel like the experience of when you're at a trunk show without having that personal connection, and how you can do that with color and visual photography. Our stylist, our sewers, I have taken on pattern making myself. That was something interesting in the pandemic. In the past, we have employed pattern makers to create our patterns. But also it feels so rewarding, and I feel so empowered that the brand has become something. So when I'm out traveling and I'm at a trunk show, now it happens a little bit more than before. I could be standing outside with my luggage and waiting for the car to come up or something, and a beautiful woman comes out with her husband, and she's like, "I love those F words britches," and I'm like, are you talking to me? And I got so excited I moved to the camera.
No worries.
And so that to me is like, wow, the business, the brand has become something outside of me. It has become something outside of the team that we work together. The customer has become so much what the brand is and where the brand is going. And so I am so reinvigorated that the trunk show model, which was put on hold for a couple of years because of COVID, is back in action, because there's nothing that can replicate the one-on-one interaction with the clients, and getting that feedback, and experiencing that moment that I otherwise don't get through selling online.
Yeah. Your most recent trunk show was in Palm Beach, right? I feel like you're there a lot.
We're there a lot. I feel like a local.
I love Palm Beach. I love Florida.
So do I.
You had a fashion show there also, right? That was not part of a trunk show.
That's correct. Yeah. So we did our first fashion show, and it was December 2019,
Mhm.
and we were picking up so much momentum, and we were looking at what the next trunk show looked like, and we wanted to create larger experiential events and activations. And so I employed and worked with a local from Miami in PR to help with the guest list and the logistics of the operations of a fashion show. So our step and repeats and literally building out the runway and helping us find a location because we wanted to do it during our puzzle in Miami. Which is no small feat for a small brand. You know, I'm okay to say we are a small brand. To hope that we could pull together a curated crowd, but enough people to come when so many other exciting events and activations are happening. So, for instance, the Dior men's show happened like a couple hours after ours, and so I was so stoked that our crowd was really epic and such an amazing group of ladies, and I'm really thankful and supportive and grateful to the women we worked with down in Miami to help us pull that together.
That's amazing. It really is. Good for you. Just even thinking about the logistics and the amount it would cost to build that out, I just can't imagine. So I'm sure there's a lot of fear, but that's not one of your F words. You're too fierce to have any fear, honestly. So what's next for what's next for F words? Like how do you at what point do you feel like you could kind of breathe and you could hire some more staff to help you? Like, is it going to be when you make a certain sales amount? Is it going to be when you hit more retail stores, like from a wholesale perspective? Or when are you going to be able to take a breath and just be like, okay, I can step back for a second now?
No, I don't think the past because it's behind us and we are forward-thinking brands, but I definitely have to address that. Of course, the pandemic was challenging for us, and so we pivoted and went 100% online during that time, and we continued to build our business, and we created a couple new collections during that time. But it definitely derailed the business model for a certain amount of time. And there are certain ramifications, if you will, that were still, just like the rest of the world, but certainly not unique to me or F words, are faced with to find solutions with daily in the sourcing and staffing dilemmas. And so our fabrics are... There's many good things, so business is recovering, but now there's such a demand on all of the aspects of our operations and fabrics and in the stitching. More brands, this is an amazing thing, are manufacturing in New York City than I've ever seen before in 20 years. So there's this great opportunity, and I have always seen it's been part of our long-term strategy to be vertically integrated, which means to manufacture and own that ourselves. Because right now we work with female-owned small ateliers, and so we contract out with them and pay them for their resources and their artisans to do our work. But we would like to be able to have our own staff of artisans working for us. And I believe that dreaming is a part of planning, and so we're really manifesting that to be something that happens this year, which we're really excited about. So I don't see, to your question, an end necessarily too soon, and that is because of the pandemic and the growth of the business and the growth of the economy coming back at the same time, and so we're really excited about the opportunity of having our own atelier, because it will allow us an opportunity to grow that part of our business with our VIP clients and to bring on more clients and be able to do their whole soup to nuts. So that goes back to why we started F Words and how I saw this opportunity to dress that same woman. So our woman is used to luxury in a way in which there is no. It's like back in the day in New York, you can go to the nightclub and it was like you wanted a helicopter out of there and you would get the helicopter out of there. They would find you whatever you needed. And so that's how F Words is that luxury model as well. And so we want to be able to, given my background and the opportunity and expertise in New York City, we want to be able to not just do bespoke activewear for our clients, but be able to make a wedding gown for their daughter, to be able to make a cocktail dress for them for the philanthropy that they're chairman of the board of. We want to be able to make them their bespoke riding outfit, and so that they're the only one in the ring that has that lapel detail, or that, we just got approved as a Swarovski brand partner, so that Swarovski sort of design on their piece or whatnot. So I think what's next is hopefully an atelier. There's a lot in design we still want to do. I'd really love to be able to start dressing Western riding as well. Right now, we do all English riding, so hunter, jumper, and dressage. We'd love to continue, of course, expanding our tennis and golf, which we essentially just started this year. We'd like to dress men someday. We would like to dress juniors and youth. Do I hope that there's a day we have, as part of, in our deck, I revisit the deck annually. And part of our values is always stay humble, remember the startup spirit. So I'm always reminding myself as well, no matter how big F Words gets and continues to get, I would like to keep a small team that's so passionate. But I am definitely looking forward to a day where the small team is definitely larger.
Well, just one last thing, going quickly back to luxury. So I recall that you've met a real housewife. Was it Salt Lake City? I don't remember.
Indeed.
Yeah, of course it was, because you love skiing. So,
Yeah.
So who was it? How was she? Is she a customer?
Yeah, so that's Meredith Marks. She's another amazing woman, just like such an icon, total role model. We were introduced to each other through another former colleague, actually, someone I worked with at J. Mandel. And I had just started the business. I think maybe I was even pre-launch. And this is well before she was on The Housewives. And she came over to the home office here. And we talked about how we could potentially do a trunk show business together, because she has a jewelry business. And so fine jewelry, diamonds and precious stones, as well as furs. And so the business grew. She went on her way. She is, as I was mentioning, such an amazing woman, because years later, she continued to be in my life. And even after her celebrity came to her, which to me just speaks volumes, again, of her integrity and her character, because she remembered the small people, so to speak, And so she's come back to me and has, asked me to help design some tennis and some golf pieces for her to wear in her upcoming season. And so you're going to see her wearing some F Words out in the court. And also, in the meantime, she has opened a store in Salt Lake on Main Street, which was one of her aspirations. And so that came together, and it's a multi-brand store. She sells her pieces, and she sells some other pieces, including her son. Her son has a collection. And she called me. She was like, she never forgot. And she was like, I want F Words to be in the store. And that kind of support has meant, volumes to me. And it's just so amazing when a woman really, truly wants to support another woman, no matter what fortunes they come to into their lives or not.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds amazing. Kendall, congratulations on F words. You're doing amazing. You really are. I can't wait to see what you do next. And to follow Kendall and to shop all things F words, check out fwordsgear.com. All right. Thank you so much, Kendall.
Oh my God, Eugene, thank you so much. This was such a pleasure.
Thank you.